Remember the first time I laid eyes on a Pac-Man arcade cabinet? It was 1980, and I was just a kid wandering into the local arcade with a pocket full of quarters. The place was a sensory overload, flashing lights, the hum of machines, and the chatter of players huddled around their favorites. But there, in the corner, was this bright yellow cabinet with a maze and a little round guy gobbling up dots. It was Pac-Man, and it was unlike anything I'd ever seen. I popped in a quarter, grabbed the joystick, and got ready to lose myself in the game that would become a cultural icon. Today, I'm taking you back to that moment, diving into the history, mechanics, and magic of the original Pac-Man arcade game that changed gaming forever. Let me set the scene for you. Pac-Man hit arcades in Japan on May 22nd, 1980, created by Namco and designed by a guy named Toru Iwatani. It was called Pac-Man at first, inspired by the Japanese phrase paku paku, which mimics the sound of a mouth chomping. When it came to the US, they changed the name to Pac-Man to avoid any cheeky misinterpretations. Standing in front of that cabinet, I didn't know any of this. All I knew was that the game was calling my name. The screen showed a simple maze filled with 240 white dots, 4 ghosts, and that little yellow circle with a wedge for a mouth. The music was catchy, a looping jingle that got stuck in your head, and the waka waka sound as Pac-Man ate those dots was pure satisfaction. The first time I played, I was hooked by how simple yet challenging it was. You move Pac-Man through the maze with a joystick, eating all the dots while avoiding 4 ghosts: Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde. Each ghost had its own personality, or so it felt. Blinky, the red one, was relentless, always chasing me down. Pinky, the pink ghost, seemed to predict where I was headed. Inky, the blue one, was unpredictable, and Clyde, the orange one, seemed to wander off sometimes, giving me a breather. I learned quickly that eating one of the 4 larger power pellets in the maze corners turned the tables. The ghosts turned blue, and for a few seconds I could eat them for bonus points. That moment when the tables turned. Pure adrenaline. I'd chase those ghosts, racking up points for each one I gobbled up before they started flashing and turned back to normal. What made Pac-Man so addictive was its balance of strategy and instinct. The maze was symmetrical, with tunnels on each side that let you warp from one end to the other, a lifesaver when Blinky was hot on my tail. I'd plan my routes, trying to clear a section of dots efficiently while keeping an eye on the ghost patterns. But here's the thing, those ghosts weren't random. I didn't know it then, but Iwatani and his team programmed them with distinct behaviors. Blinky chases you directly, Pinky ambushes by aiming for a spot ahead of you, Inky uses a weird mix of your position and Blinky's to decide his path, and Clyde switches between chasing and wandering. Learning their quirks took time, and I burned through plenty of quarters figuring it out. Every game felt like a puzzle I was one move away from solving. The scoring system kept me coming back, too. Each dot was worth 10 points, power pellets 50, and those blue ghosts gave escalating points. Then there were the bonus items like cherries or strawberries that popped up twice per level under the ghost pen. I still remember the thrill of grabbing a 5,000 point key on later levels. It felt like hitting the jackpot. The game wasn't just about surviving, it was about chasing that high score. Arcades back then were social hubs, and the Pac-Man cabinet always had a crowd. We'd cheer each other on, swap tips, and scribble our initials on the leaderboard. Mine was JRM, and I fought hard to get it up there, even if it was just for a day. Let's talk about what made Pac-Man stand out in 1980. Most arcade games back then were about shooting. Think Space Invaders or Asteroids. But Pac-Man was different. Iwatani wanted to create a game that appealed to everyone, not just guys blasting aliens. He drew inspiration from a pizza with a slice missing, which gave him the idea for Pac-Man's shape. He also wanted the game to feel playful, not violent. Eating dots and chasing ghosts was fun, not aggressive. That's why the ghosts had cute names and colorful designs, not scary ones. It worked. I saw kids, teens, even adults crowding around Pac-Man. It was one of the first games that felt universal. The tech behind Pac-Man was impressive for its time too. The game ran on a Namco 8-bit CPU with a 16 kilobyte ROM. That doesn't sound like much now, but it powered a game that felt alive. The Ghost's AI, simple as it was, made every chase feel dynamic. The game had 255 levels, and if you were a god tier player, you could hit the infamous kill screen on level 256, where the game glitched out because of a memory overflow. I never got that far. My best was level 21, but I heard stories of players who did, and it was like they'd climbed Everest. The game's difficulty ramped up as you progressed, with ghosts getting faster and power pellet effects lasting shorter. It kept you on your toes, always pushing you to get better. Playing Pac-Man wasn't just about the game, it was about the experience. The arcade was my escape, a place where I could forget homework or chores for a while. The glow of the CRT screen, the clunk of the joystick, the smell of popcorn from the concession stand, it's all burned into my memory. Pac-Man was more than a game, it was a phenomenon. It spawned sequels, cartoons, even a hit song called Pac-Man Fever. By 1982, it was everywhere, on lunchboxes, t-shirts, and cereal boxes. It grossed over $2.5 billion in quarters by the 1990s, and I'm pretty sure I contributed a fair chunk of that myself. Looking back, Pac-Man taught me about persistence. Every time I lost my last life, I'd analyze what went wrong. Maybe I got greedy going for a power pellet, or I didn't use the tunnels enough. Each game was a lesson, and I loved the challenge. It's why I kept coming back, quarter after quarter, to that yellow cabinet. Even now, when I see a Pac-Man machine in a retro arcade, I feel that same rush. It's a reminder of a simpler time when a joystick, a maze, and a handful of quarters were all I needed for a good day. So if you ever get the chance to play the original Pac-Man arcade game, do it. Pop in a quarter, listen to that Waka Waka, and let yourself get lost in the maze. It's a piece of gaming history that still holds up, and trust me, it's as fun now as it was back then.